Live from Boston, it's Keep Pound Den.
Thursday, April 4th. Welcome back to the Keep PounDENN podcast, part of the Riot Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. I'm your host, Den. Back from vacation, you can find the Back to Reality me at Keep PounDENN. Bobby's here as well. He's at Tacos and Slurpees. And 2 weeks in a row now, we have our friend Tripp Morgan with us. He's my source, your source, at Panthers Source on Twitter. I just made that up off the top of my head, Tripp, so I hope you're happy about that one.
I'm still in that soundbite. Sure.
You can listen to, subscribe, and or watch the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and over on theriоtreport.com. What's up to you guys over on Twitter? As you guys know, we'll be bringing in these comments right on the screen, so if you have anything to say, go ahead and type it into whatever device you have us on there tonight, and it's one of my favorite times of the year, guys. Jeez, welcome back from vacation. We are just a few weeks from the draft, a few days from WrestleMania, Bobby.
Yes.
And a few hours since the Panthers' last huge signing. We'll get into all that and much more tonight. But, Bobby, how pumped are you for WrestleMania?
I'm super pumped, man. But before I talk about WrestleMania, I got to give a huge shout out to my baby girl, Kennedy. Tomorrow is her birthday. She will be 7.
Oh, damn.
She's excited. And she is so eager to see WrestleMania. So, yes, we are ready for WrestleMania.
I like it. Happy birthday, Kennedy. And we are, I did mention the draft in that intro. We are heading down to the draft with our new board here. We have our new live rig here. So we're using this tonight just to kind of get the bugs out. Last week we had a bunch of bugs. That are all my fault. I'll take 100% of the blame for that. But let's go ahead and throw some of our fun side topics up on the board. Some of them probably aren't too much of a surprise here, but I don't think we can kick off a podcast this week without talking about these incredible draft hats, guys. That is. Panthers again. I think is this the second year in a row we have the worst hat in the draft?
I think so.
Dude, I literally, and I'm not even kidding. I told you this, Tripp, and I've tweeted it out. I was 100% sure that was an April Fool's joke.
Completely.
Like, I looked at it and I was like, haha, cool. Like, sweet. You know, like, I got you. Well, I'll check it out tomorrow. And the link, or maybe that was the next day. The link didn't go away. People put up photos of those hats. And here we are. Let me put it up on the screen there. I know you guys can't see that, but not gonna lie, I didn't know that the North Carolina flag had the N*C. So I get it now. It's both flags, but like
right.
The logo,
it's still horrible.
But the logo is like off-centered. It reminds me of like the NCAA logo. Like I hate that logo because the NCAA is like on this weird part of the ball, and I get that from this
symmetry, man.
I don't know, man. Yeah.
It literally looks like some overseas flag.
Dude,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that like Snooki and JWoww sold this hat on like episode 9 of the Jersey Shore.
Like, have you ever walked into like a corner store and saw like the knockoff hats?
Absolutely.
Like, it looks identical to one of those hats that are like $9.99 being sold at like a corner store.
I saw somebody on Twitter said it best. It looks like something straight out of Myrtle Beach. Dan, I don't know if you've ever been to Myrtle Beach,
I haven't.
but that is like 100% a Myrtle Beach knockoff hat. Like,
that is a fact.
So
I mean, if you had to choose though between one to wear this year's or last year's, like if you were going to pick one that you had to wear somewhere out in public, which one are you going with?
I would definitely wear last year's, and that's
easy,
bad.
Yeah.
I mean, the hat just looked nice. Like I think you just expect more from New Era. Like they're usually very simple. Like the Eagles hat, that's like definitely the second worst. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. Nothing should be on the brim.
Yeah. I personally, I feel like, and I was talking to you about this, Dan, I don't understand how the Seahawks get their 12th man on the hat and we can't get Keep Pounding. Like, I hate it. Like, I really hate that. You have Keep Pounding in the back of the jerseys in the collar. Like, at least put it on the hat somewhere, man. Like, I don't, last year it was what? One team, 2 states. Then we get this weird looking 5-year-old art graphic on the front this year. Like, it's weird.
And the Saints one is ugly too.
Yeah, it's like
It's horrendous.
Is that their flag or something? Like 3 of their like.
It's their logo. It's just their logo 3 times.
I don't know.
Like is that symbolizing something? I mean, what the Redskins one isn't bad. I mean, I like the classic like two stripe kind of look. That one's not terrible.
I don't. Maybe they gave the Saints 3 logos because they complain about so much. So they was like, here, just in case you complain about your logo being too small or not being seen enough, here's 3.
In case you complain about the first 2, here's that one. But the other weird thing is like, what's with the alternate colors? Like, why do we have like a Warriors hat version? I thought that was like because of
Honestly,
Steph Curry or
like
something.
a Steelers logo.
Yeah, and then the worst part about all of this is the Falcons have probably the best draft hat. They honestly do, though. Like as far as the design, I don't have a graphic of it that I should. But
yeah, no, you're right. I'm looking at it. Yep.
It's just
I don't know. I think the Bucks is okay. I know you don't care for the logo, and the Bears have a really nice one. They have like 4 stars, or whatever they are, like the Chicago Stars or whatever they're called, like on the side. It's actually pretty dope. I actually think they win.
Yeah, well, see, that's clean. It's simple. It's not like a bunch of stuff thrown on the front.
Yeah,
I
we got
don't know.
too many states in our team apparently.
Yeah, it's again but even I'm going to put it back up on the screen here. This like the stitching of like the N and the C like isn't even cool. It just looks. I don't know. It's just.
Hey man, listen. We complained about so much. Let's just complain about the Hats Tepper and get that fixed too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll get to Dave Tepper in a little bit. He's he's back to hitting his layups. No big deal over there. Again, I think he has the easiest job right now in the NFL. Take a team that you have the easiest moves to make and just make them, and you're golden. So we'll get to some of those in a minute. But let's take a break from the sideboard, though, because now that we don't have Chris here, Bobby, we have a very even slate of DC and Marvel.
Oh, my gosh.
So, Bobby, I need to ask you.
Hey, Chris, I need to get you back ASAP, man.
Chris is actually at the Hurricanes game. He's Hurricanes. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm like Canes, Hurricanes. I've never called them the Hurricanes. But anyway, he's at the Canes game tonight. They can clinch, I believe. That's what I hear.
Bring it home.
So anyway, Tripp, they team up on me as Marvel guys, and I'm a big DC guy. Big movie coming out, guys.
He's lying, Tripp, by the way. I don't team up on him about
you guys
Marvel
are such
and DC.
bullies. It's like
I team up on him, letting him know that Batman is trash. That's it. I don't have a problem with anybody else from DC.
Look,
all right. So Bobby, give me your review then. Sorry to cut you off, Tripp. I need to hear this review of what you think. What's your excitement level of this Joker movie?
Me?
Yes, the one who's a hater. Yeah,
I'm ecstatic. I mean, I think they should have done this a long time ago. The Joker is the sole reason that Batman is even relevant. So
that's a hot take.
From what I saw with the build up of this movie, just not even the action, but just the character, the introduction of the character is absolutely it's amazing. I mean, it's almost like a behind the scenes look at how he became who he is, and we all know that without the villain, Batman is trash. We all know that. He's just some guy who talks like he has some issue with his throat, and he wears a suit that he can barely move in. If it weren't for Bane and Joker, Dark Knight, the second one, they wouldn't be. It's no entertainment, So I believe introducing Joker, not just introducing him as the crazy Joker, but introducing him as a everyday guy who turned into the being that he was absolutely genius.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the Joker is there's never been a backstory, right? And it kind of and there's been like not really multiple Jokers, but he like never dies, right? Isn't that like a thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who do you think wins in a fight, Thanos or the Joker?
Oh,
I've never seen any Marvel movies, so it's a fair fight to me.
It's not a fair fight. It's not a fair fight at all.
Saying DC is trash is one thing, but man, Batman's like a classic. How can you hate on Batman?
Yeah, Batman is a classic because the masses forced him to be a classic.
Here we go. That's
why.
All right.
What has can anybody tell me? And I'm not going to beat this subject too long, but no one can tell me any impressive thing that you've ever seen Batman do. Yeah.
I mean, he's human and kicks.
Yeah, well,
ass. I don't understand.
One time in the 70s, he got rid of a bomb in the water. Did you ever see those?
Yeah, unfortunately, I did. Are you talking about the boom pow?
Yeah.
Batman's, yeah.
Yeah. Has Superman ever punched someone so hard that words appeared in the air?
Oh my gosh.
I don't think so.
It was like watching like it was like a comic book came to life.
It kind of looks like the Panthers hat.
There you go. Yeah, fine. That's a good way to go out on that one. Hey, anyway, the AAF apparently is calling it quits, at least for this year. And just right up to this podcast, Rashad Ross is now a Panther, one of the best receivers in that league, just edging out former Panther Charles Johnson, by the way, not to be confused with the defensive lineman. But
Great.
That's at least exciting. We'll get to that in a minute. But, I mean, you can't compete with the NFL, right? Like, so I'm just thinking, like, what does this even mean for Vince McMahon? I think he's an idiot for doing this in the first place. But what do you think this does to Vince's kind of, I don't know, vibes or excitement for his league? Do you think that changes that at all? And do you think that which league do you think will actually end up lasting longer, the AAF or the second run of the XFL? Because I don't think the XFL has a chance. If you have former players in the AAF, why would the XFL do better?
Why wouldn't it? Vince McMahon is a freaking billionaire. He doesn't need help.
I was going to say he has experience in knowing how to entertain people. Like the original XFL obviously it flatlined pretty quick. But if you're asking which one's going to last longer between the two, I would go with the XFL just because, like Bobby just said. I mean, Vince McMahon has all the resources he needs to at least do something to make it entertaining.
Even though it's already failed once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite sure he's learned from what he did wrong. I'm not saying it's going to last for 10 or 15 years, but what I am saying is when you don't need outside help, you're more likely to last longer than a league that's reaching out to different lenders and reaching out to different businessmen, seeing how they can last. This is totally different. Vince reached out to all of his people he's going to reach out to. He doesn't need anybody else to keep this going. Will the AAF players come over to the XFL? Who knows? But, I'd say at least I could see Vince giving it 2 strong seasons at least before he pulls the plug.
I kind of watched the XFL. I know that there's different rules and whatever, but like what's the number one thing then to you, Bobby, that makes it more that you're excited for the XFL about besides the fact that it's WWE affiliated? Or I don't even know if it really is. It's Vince McMahon affiliated.
Vince stated that they're not affiliated in any form or fashion.
Okay, Vince McMahon affiliated then is what I mean.
Anything Vince McMahon affiliated, I'm not excited about, to be completely honest. He ruins business.
He's ruined the Royal Rumble for like the last 20 years.
Yeah, he's horrible for business, but and that's me being realistic. He's horrible for business, but he knows how to invest his money. He did state, and here's the thing that really makes me look forward to the league. He did state that they, this in no way, shape, or form is meant to be a gimmick. This is going to be a legit football league. So with that being said, I'm more than certain he has all of his ducks in a row. The press conference, and we talked about it last year. We discussed this press conference and how adamant he was that this is legit. This is not a fly-by-night thing that he thought of. They've been planning this. They've been waiting to launch it, and they're ready. So I think this is going to be a legit league. And like I said, I think Vince will at least give it 2 seasons before he says, okay, it's not working. But I think this is going to be something that's around for a little while, man, just because of how adamant he was. And if you look at the guys who went into business as far as the coaches that they had lined up and the players that they were looking at, this seems really legit, man. So to me, I think it may be around for a little while, and I'm actually excited to see it get away from the gimmick, like no more of the he hate me. I don't want to see that. I want to see a legit league with these guys' name on the back of their jerseys and playing for a win.
Yeah, straight up, when they came out with the original one, the way they built it up made it sound like it was going to be a real-life NFL blitz style game. Like, that's what I expected.
And I think that's what everyone watched it for.
That product.
Right?
Do what?
That's what everyone kind of watched it for. I mean, I don't think people are watching these 2 leagues being like, I want to watch good football. Unless you're in like a city that just doesn't have football. I know how they strategically place the AAF in places like Alabama and, where they had college football. But like who's really watching these? You're watching these leagues for like the cool rules and like the cool camera angles and like hits that make helmets fly off and like. Yeah. Are you really like watching this for like a good football game? I mean, I don't think you can ever compete with the NFL in that way.
You watch the NFL because they're the best players. Like that's what you're getting.
But it's weird. Like one thing I mentioned today, like hockey has the big thing where they go around the world and like they do the juniors and all that. Like the NBA is big in China, even basketball. Like I'm surprised, like no international or other country. I know there's some teams in like Germany, but like has really tried like a full league of professional football to kind of.
Soccer's too big.
You think so? Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
Soccer's too big, and I mean, like, Sooner Bill stated he said he think that they're testing the market with the AAF for incoming XFL. That's a good point. And Jen pointed out, she said advertising is going to be key.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon is the best at advertising, and he's a great marketer. I can really say that. So
you can get the XFL network for $9.99.
Yeah. There you go.
Fun fact, Bobby and Den, y'all may not know this. So where I live in Greenville, North Carolina, is home of the East Carolina Pirates. East Carolina University. Mm-hmm. That is where Vince McMahon attended college.
I did not know that.
Oh, nice! I didn't know that.
Did he walk with his shoulders? Back then.
So they have live wrestling events and stuff come to ECU Minges Coliseum, the basketball arena.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And they come in there and they come through there like I think once or twice a year and do an event and stuff. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, fun fact for you.
I like that. Very nice. Well, hey, on the topic of the AAF, putting it up on the screen here, dude, Rashad the Rocket Ross. If your nickname is the Rocket as a football player, like I'm immediately listening. Like I'm already interested. Ran a 36 second 40 at his 2013 pro day, and he clocked the league's fastest play in 2015. He reached 21.5 miles per hour on a 100-yard kick return for the Redskins in 2015. Well, we didn't notice that because we were just destroying the rest of the NFL. Yeah. He has experience. He's like I just mentioned, the number one receiver in the AAF. Well, now I'm not buying too much stock into this, but when you start thinking of Panthers players who have played in playoff games, Mose Frazier, Kalen Clay, Charles Johnson, like this guy, I don't even know what the money was. Did you guys see the money for this?
No.
Do they even disclose that stuff? Yeah, disclose that stuff? Yeah.
I mean, whatever it was more than what he was making.
So, I mean, yeah, if anything, this could be a free upgrade. But the other thing is, Demir Bird gone, Fozzie Whitaker gone. Right now, the returners for the Panthers are Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, and Curtis Samuel, I believe. Those are the only three, right?
And I don't want to see either one of them back there.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the main reason they picked him up was for special teams.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
he can compete for that final spot that Bird was holding down on the wide receiver core, sure. But yeah, I think that was exactly why.
His only, don't get me wrong, this guy's only shot at making the team is being a returner.
But I'm okay with that. When's the last time we had a legit
that's
returner,
fine.
Though?
That's fine. There's that argument, that you have where, you got people like Steve Smith who did it. Alvin Kamara does it for the Saints. Deshaun Jackson, big plays he's had.
Yeah, but that's cool. I don't want to see DJ Moore or Christian McCaffrey back there, man. I understand that there have been guys who make those plays. The only time I want to see them back there if the game is on the line and we need to get some yards down the field in this fourth quarter with like a minute and something left. Oh, okay, put DJ back there to see if he can make a play. Other than that, yeah, I'm cool with that, man. I mean, it's just so heartbreaking to watch us year in and year out never address special teams. We're always one of the worst in the league, man. And it's like we can't get any punt returns. Even when we do get some yards, there's a flag on the play. Like after a while, that stuff becomes a little irritating, man. I love the move in Ross, and I'm really hoping that this guy can at least, I think his best season in the NFL I saw earlier, he was averaging 24 yards per return. If he can do that for us, I'm excited.
Dude, he's literally been on like every team in the league. So his professional NFL career: Tennessee Titans, Kansas City Chiefs, Redskins, Bears, Redskins again, a second stint, Lions.
Sounds like Ted again before he came to Carolina.
I mean, a lot of these are practice squad. Don't get me wrong, but Lions, 49ers, Bills, Cardinals, and then finally the Arizona Hotshots. And he came from ASU, which I was just by on one of my vacations I've been on. So at least NFL experience. You could get a guy that's at least, I would say, practice squad here, and who knows? He might find a niche. And I'm totally cool with taking a flyer on this dude.
I mean, you can't forget, man, he was going against NFL cornerbacks, too, in the AAF league. So it's not like he was playing against guys, that were just trash. There were some decent defenders over there, man. I'm not saying they were great, but, he was playing against some solid defenders.
Yeah, I believe Zach, I think he probably went up against Zach Sanchez at one point, but...
Yeah, definitely at some point, probably.
We'll see. Anyway,
better than Kelvin Benjamin.
Hey, now I saw a joke out there that now that the AAF is over, the Panthers can get all their receivers back. So that'd be nice. Yeah,
sad but true.
I was going to touch on something you just said, Bobby, but I completely forgot what I was going to say. So perfect radio here. Let's go to topic 3. Panthers announced today they are throwing a draft party at Bank of America Stadium.
Finally,
it's not going to be as cool as our draft party down in Nashville, Tripp. But anyway, it will be the night one celebration over at the stadium, of course, and the Roaring Riot waiting for that announcement. Have it up on the screen there. Also announced that they'll be throwing, or we will be throwing. I won't be there, but throwing the official tailgate as usual, right in front of the stadium there, starting at 5 p.m. It will be free to not only members but any and all Panthers fans who want to join a Roaring Riot tailgate experience. If you've never been before, just go to this one, and trust me, you'll be probably signing up as you walk into the stadium.
Let's go.
So check that out. On draft night, we will be we'll be down in Nashville again, reporting back to those guys. But again, another layup for Dave Tepper. Like the fact that the Panthers have never, I don't think they have never thrown a draft party at the stadium is kind of, what's going on here, dude?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, Tepper's like a senior playing against freshman kids, as far as like the old owners of the Panthers.
He had a vision.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did. And I mean,
vision.
And shout out to everybody who's joining in. We appreciate it. Hey, Sheena, how you doing?
Good to see you joining in. Hopefully we'll see Sheena down in Nashville, too. Hey, actually, I just remembered what you said, Bobby, about kick returns. Someone, I forget who it was on Twitter, mentioned that if Devin Hester played for the Panthers, he'd have like 0 touchdowns because they would have all been called back from blocks in the back, which is so true. I love that.
I mean, it's true, man. It doesn't, and that's the saddest part, man. It's almost like we don't even address those things. Every offseason, we're like, oh, we need an offensive lineman or either a defensive end, and we never, ever talk about special teams. If you look at really good teams in the league, they get some decent yardage for special teams. You got to help your quarterback and your offense out in other ways versus just blocking and getting them receivers. Help them out with getting down the field sometimes.
You know, and that's one thing that I have to put a quarter in the jar but when I bring up the Patriots, but you look at the Patriots, they draft specifically and have been for years for both sides of special teams. It's such an important part of that game. And you see some of those guys starting special teamers on the Pats and actually, becoming bigger starters too. But yeah,
but there are other teams in the league that do this.
They do. But I'm saying the Patriots have been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, they went and picked up Cordero Patterson.
There you go. So
remember when everybody thought he was coming to Carolina because of that?
Yeah, he was just on a connecting flight.
Yeah,
dude,
man, dude, I was hoping so. Though, I ain't gonna lie.
The right now following the players, Billy Marshall does a great job, but I hate to. I'm just making a joke with him, not of him, but or against him rather. But he's on Instagram, like following everyone's stories, kind of like a psycho ex-girlfriend. Like, oh, I know that skyline. And I love that because we can see where all these players are right. visiting. It's such a crazy time, and yeah, man, the draft is like
it gets bigger every year, dude.
It's so intense. Like at these few weeks, it's like there's all these mock drafts, and everyone's visiting everywhere, and who's going to fit where, all this stuff, whatever. Yeah. In 3 weeks, most of it's going to be irrelevant as far as like everyone's going to go back to their teams, and obviously we're going to talk about the guys who are doing good. But a lot of these players that you're talking about in the later rounds, it's like that's it. You talked about them. Now you get your guys, and you kind of focus on them for camping and whatnot.
Right.
So I don't know. The draft is like I try not to get too involved. It's like I like it. I love going to the draft. I love the night of it. I love the trading, and I just being there is. I told Tripp, being at a draft. Bobby, you were with me in Philly.
Yeah.
It's like a once in a lifetime experience. It's really fun. Like everyone's having a good time. Everyone's talking football. Everyone's doing their chance. There's really no winners or losers. And unless you're like a Falcons fan or Saints fan, but if it's just a good celebration to be at. And it's like I don't know. I just love being there. It's almost like when I was in Aruba. Like I would go in the pool a little bit. But really, I was there for like the drinks, at the swim up pool. Like I'm not like too much into the swimming. That's like the draft to me. Like I'm here for everything, but I'm really here for the drinks. So
Yeah, we still got a couple weeks, man. I'm already like jacked up. You don't have to keep like piling it on, man. It's like I'm ready.
We're gonna have a good time.
Sure.
Anyway, hey, it was announced that Christian McCaffrey and Charles Johnson, the D-end, I'm assuming, will be announcing the Panthers' second and third round draft picks. You know, it really is kind of a new era in Carolina because just a few years ago, Thomas Davis was up there, announced Christian McCaffrey as the pick, right? 2 years go by. Christian McCaffrey now is representing the Panthers in making a draft pick.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty cool. And I was next to you, Bobby, when that happened. I didn't really get that excited when they picked him.
No, you got really excited. I mean, that's probably. You ever seen a guy who really wants to have a son and he finds out, like at the gender reveal, that he's having a son? Like that was literally Den.
That was me when they drafted Christian McCaffrey. I think that was the loudest yes I've ever screamed in my life.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I don't even know how many times you said yes in your life, but I can definitely say that.
Because I forget who it was. I want to say it was the Chargers off the top of my head, were like a pick or two before them. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
I can't remember.
There was some team that was like rumored to be interested in him, and I was like, my luck in this world, they're taking him. And
it's like when Robin found Batman.
Yeah, see, great Tripp, great reference.
No,
great
reference, Tripp. You're never coming back.
Oh my god,
excellent reference. Anyway, yeah.
When Thanos found the Infinity Stone, how about that?
I have no idea what that means. Well, one thing about the draft that is kind of a popular topic, I guess, is people talking about Will Grier down there. Is now the time to kind of think about Cam's, I guess, not only backup but replacement. I hate to say that word, or successor, if you will.
It's okay to say that. With
Cam, shoulder. Obviously, what happened last year is not an indication of Cam like falling off. It's an indication of his arm falling off. And do you start thinking about the future? And Tripp, I messaged you today. Is like granted it was one game and it was week 17. I don't know if this draft, is the time to do that. Because you get a guy, Kyle Allen, who I think actually is better than Taylor Heineke.
Agreed.
Far better.
Agreed.
Who played pretty well, I thought. Do you need to go in the draft and that's all you're going to look at with Kyle Allen? And I mean, is that a viable replacement?
You can't.
Cam? As far as this year.
Yeah, you can't look at just that New Orleans game. Like, I know they get to see him at practice and stuff like that, but you can't look at his production in that New Orleans game and say, okay, well, I think we know what we got in this guy. And I mean, and if you do, you should be pleased with it because, like, and I'm sure y'all agree. I think everybody's kind of said it at some point or another. Watching him live when that game started, his poise and calmness throughout the whole thing, pressure in his face, dumping it off, reading blitzes left and right, dropping some dimes here and there. I know you put that Curtis Samuel dime up, Den, or you retweeted it. He looked really good up until that injury. Now, remember, he was also playing behind this garbage O-line that almost put Christian McCaffrey at quarterback for us, and that would have been scary. But you can't, this guy was a 5-star high school recruit, top in his recruiting class going into college. And I know this is years ago. He went to A&M. He bounced around. He went to Houston, transferring. And then finally, after an injury and losing a starting job, he said he was foregoing his senior season and going into the NFL draft. And ultimately, all that bouncing around and stuff up and down got him undrafted, and Carolina was picking him up. Now, I'm not sitting here saying he's going to be the next great quarterback, but I think this is a guy you have to legitimately give a shot at because Taylor Heineke, to me, when he was out there last year, looked nervous. I mean, he had happy feet when he was in the pocket getting pressured. Kyle Allen looked like he had been there before and he was ready for the task, if that makes any sense. So that's my take on it. I'm a big fan of Kyle Allen. I've seen other people on Twitter talk about him as well, but you can't sit here and say, if they draft a quarterback in the second round, I think that would just be a little bit absurd this year. But that's my take on Kyle Allen.
Yeah. Bobby, were you going to say something there? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's good.
Oh.
I mean,
go for it.
let's just be honest about something. Taylor Heineke is only here because he played with Norv before, and he's familiar with Norv Turner's offense. That's the sole reason Taylor Heineke is here. There's no other reason why he's here other than that. He showed me something for a half, but after that, nothing much, even and really just for a quarter. Kyle Allen stepped on the field with poise, as you stated. He stepped on the field with a certain confidence that you don't see. And he stepped on the field. And here's the thing. I'm not worried about how well he reads the opposing blitzes and all of that. Were you delivering the ball where it should have been? And yes, he was. However, there's a difference in starting in a week 17 pointless game. And if it's week 9, 10, 11-ish and you're trying to get in the playoffs, so there's a different set of nerves. There's a different offense that's going to be rolled out. There are totally different defenses that are going to come at you. So did he look well in his performance? Absolutely. He looked amazing. However, if Cam were to have another unfortunate event happen, is Kyle Allen the guy that can get us in the playoffs? I don't know. We do know that he has talent. We do know that he can deliver the ball where it needs to be. But if the playoffs are on, has he ever been in a big game in his career, in his life? Has he ever played in a big game? So those are the things that I ask the questions about. And you guys know I love Kyle Allen. I raved about him all last season. I raved about him, right when the season ended, still talking about him. However, has he ever had a big game outside of high school? I think it was college. Yeah.
He did have some big games in college. And yeah, I mean, that's fair. Like I said, I'm not sitting here saying like he could be he's our future top elite quarterback at Carolina Panthers when Cam moves on, or he's going to surpass Cam by any means. I'm just saying, I think this is a guy you really should give a shot at. And you just mentioned Cam going out. I've said on the show before that if Cam goes down in the middle of a season, kind of like he did last year, and you're still fighting for the playoffs, I don't want to be that guy that's like doomsday for the Panthers, but it's not going to be a good look. Yeah, Kyle, a backup quarterback could come in and they could make, adjust the offense to better suit him and this and that. But I just, if Cam goes down, I'm going to be worried about the rest of the season anyway. I'm going to go way down on the percentage of playoff hopes. But, yeah, I mean, I just think he's a guy that should get a shot. But I agree with you. It was week 17. The playoffs were out. But he was an undrafted rookie. Like, they don't just come in and stay completely calm and poised. Like, they're normally out there nervous, running around, and he just had a confidence about him. He trained with Kurt Warner a lot. Right. And I think that comes from him being touted so high since high school in everything he does. Like, he knows that, he's one of the better guys going onto the field. He's always known that throughout college. So I think that played a big part. But like you said, you don't know until you're out there starting every game trying to carry a team. So
right. And I'm right there with you. I'm not saying he's not that guy because, as you guys know, I love Kyle Allen. However, if you run across, and you guys know how I feel about Will Greer, but if you run across a guy like Will in the 3rd round, do you ignore him?
I wouldn't know because we got two third-round picks. I wouldn't be upset with a 3rd round, but if you spend a 2nd-round pick on a quarterback, yeah, I would be like, okay, what is it?
What if he's the best player available in the 2nd round?
That's where it gets tough.
I
mean, at Sooner
it's
Bill,
be hard to believe he would be the best player in the 2nd round.
Yes.
Because here's the thing: we have to stop pretending like, and this is what. So I'm going to be completely honest, and I don't care who's listening. It really pisses me off. I'm sorry, guys, but it really pisses me off for people to think. I know Cam is Superman. We talk about him being Superman, but at some point we have to realize he's entering his 9th season.
Absolutely,
we have never protected Cam Newton. Every offseason we have this fantasy about getting this offensive tackle that's going to come and save Cam's career. And every offseason we're let down. Can we just be honest for a second and just say at some point in the next year or two, it's time to draft his backup and his potential successor? Because the reality of it is the way Cam plays football, he may only play 12 to 13 years in this league. This is his 9th season. And let's just be realistic. It's time. And we have to get over this thing about, if we draft a quarterback, that means we're getting rid of Cam or we're forcing him out of the door. No, that's what responsible organizations do when they have a quarterback approaching 30. They actually draft his potential successor, not just put him out there, year one. You draft somebody to learn behind that MVP veteran in the hope that he picks up on some of the likenesses on the field and that he learns what not to do. So you prepare him so in the moment comes that his career ends early or he happens to retire in a few years, you have a guy that not only knows the system, but knows the offense and knows how to play the game properly. So for people who think that drafting a quarterback means you're pushing them out of the door or you're not going to re-sign them to a deal, it has nothing to do with that. It's called preparation. It's called being proactive versus reactive. And the way that this organization has been over the last 10, 15, 20 years, I would love for us to finally be prepared for a big loss.
Dude, what do you mean the front office hasn't protected Cam? They went out and got Amini Sotolu and Matt Khalil.
Oh, my gosh.
What's wrong with that? People would love that. No, but honestly, at Sooner Bill brought in, that we need a veteran quarterback backup. That I'd be more like okay with, as long as it's not crazy money. But like, someone as like a just in case right now. I don't think you need a successor. A backup is very different than drafting a guy. Like I think if Cam goes down, you're screwed. But what if you had like, I don't know, like a Ryan Fitzpatrick or something?
Well, okay, if you're talking about a backup, then okay.
I just mean for this year and like next year. I just don't think this is the year they have to do that. That's my point here.
Yeah, but I don't. This year, I don't know. No, you're right. I just don't know. Like this year, like Ryan Fitzpatrick, didn't he already sign to like
he went to
the
Miami.
Dolphins? Yeah. All right. So who else is out there that you could like? If that's the case, I'm looking at it with like who's available veteran wise. I'd rather have Will Greer in the third round and see what you got in a young guy that might have a future. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know.
We get out there. We get Josh McCown, Sam Bradford.
No, there's no quarterback on the free agent market that I would.
Mark Sanchez, he's good.
People may who?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, I was going to say, like, and people may say I'm crazy, but I can't name a quarterback on the free agent market that I'd say, okay, let's kick the tires with him versus giving Kyle Allen another shot.
Right. Completely agree.
Well, you might get your Garrett Gilbert back. Who knows?
Hey, Gigi the GOAT, man. Listen, the AAF MVP looked amazing, man.
Hey, and look, and Bobby, more to your point about, Cam not, staying around forever, I completely agree with that take as well, because I said last year when they finally shut him down, I was like, until I know his rehab is reportedly going well and all this, but until he actually goes out there and plays a full season healthy and his arm looks back okay, like, I'm a big Cam fan and all, but if he comes back here and this happens again, you've got to be saying, look, business is business. We love you to death, but this ain't going to work. Like, you can't win games if you can only throw the ball 15 yards.
Yeah.
So that's something I agree. You have to look at, and that's not going to guarantee his contract past 2020 if he doesn't come back. Now, granted, Cam, when people doubt him, I mean, he fights tooth and nail to get back to the top. So hopefully that comes back this year.
Well, the thing that's hard about this is like whenever people look at Cam that maybe aren't Panthers fans, they use the running quarterbacks don't last.
Right.
And I saw that this year, like, less starting quarterbacks actually got hurt. And one thing that people don't realize, and I was talking to Chris about this, and I believe we're both correct in the sense that, knock on wood, knock on all the wood, the only time Cam's like really gotten hurt running the ball to this date was that Falcons game, right? The concussion.
That's it.
I mean, his other injuries were chasing down an interception from Kelvin Benjamin that Benjamin basically picked it off from Kim and, gave it to whoever that was. Was that Barry? And then, Cam got hurt on that play, right? When he chased him down?
No, I think he got a little tweak, but I don't think it was anything serious.
He didn't not get hurt. Okay. And, he's had like little, like he got poked in the eye and stuff like that in New England, and maybe he's taken a big hit or two. But I mean, like, sidelining things. And then obviously he had that car accident.
Yeah.
But people say that, running quarterbacks don't last. It's like, let me take Cam out of that conversation you're trying to have with me. And, to that point, when people say you need Cam's backup, it's not so much that he's getting like worn down from the NFL. He's just had a couple of weird things happen to him. I mean, his shoulders, that TJ Watt hit, I don't care what anyone says. That definitely didn't help things.
Right.
So I don't know. Who knows?
And the fact, like, a lot of people still say that, Cam, the first thing he does when he backs up and sees pressure is he takes off running. And that couldn't be further from the truth. There are times where I feel like he holds on to the ball too much and doesn't take off running. Like, that's Cam Newton to me. Like, I don't know what these people see. Like, I guess they see the highlights on Sports Center where he might scramble and pick up and it's a quick highlight. They're not watching the whole game.
Tripp, that's not scrambling. That's staying alive.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's almost every other play. So, but it's not like when he sits back there are times he holds onto the ball and he's looking downfield the entire time. Like the whole MO of Cam holding on, like taking off when he sees immediate pressure is just garbage. I absolutely hate that take because Cam is not a run first QB. Like, yes, he can run. He's like a athletic freak. He's physically gifted, but that has never been his game. It's never been his game.
He didn't even do that his rookie year.
Exactly. I mean, he came into the league week 1 against the Cardinals and lit up the passing game. Like, I just don't understand where that comes from. You can watch your Sports Center highlights and see it, I guess, but go watch a bunch of games, go watch some film, and tell me where he's taking off every play. Like,
I mean, this is what happens when people listen to Jason Whitlock and Colin Cowherd. This is what happens. I mean, I'm just being honest. That is not a joke at all.
No, you're right.
That's what happens when people listen to those guys versus actually watching a game. Like, there's a lot of people who feel like Cam Newton still complains. And I'll ask them, when's the last time you heard him complain? Well, but I don't exactly. You don't know because he hasn't done it. Like, so whatever people say about him, that's what they'll believe. So until they watch a game, man, like, do yourself a favor. Don't even debate with those guys anymore. They're going to make you lose your mind. Trust me.
Yeah, and Sooner Bill saying, Cam would play another 6 years with protection, comparing him to Brady. One thing the Patriots, I think, have is I call it like the sack check down, where Brady has a guy that he has no intentions to throw the ball to, but just whips it at his feet, so he'll never take a sack. Like, sacking Tom Brady is actually a pretty hard thing to do. You can get to him, and he'll just throw it to the ground. Yeah. And I think drafting protection is kind of the biggest thing when you start going into at least nights 1 and 2. You have to get protection, and maybe you don't have to get an edge rusher or DN, but that's where you're going to do it is in that area. So I think your window is kind of stuck to there. So protection. It has to be protection for Cam if you want him to keep playing and not really get worn down by the NFL, like you said, Bobby. Yeah. Also, Eric Reed has a friend that plays quarterback that he wants people to sign. So, I don't know. Maybe we can take a look at him.
When's the last time he's played football, though?
Yeah.
Dude, I have no problem with Kaepernick as a football player. And even off the field, I hated when he did the Superman thing in our end zone. So for that, I've always hated Colin Kaepernick.
I mean, listen,
that's the only reason I hate him, by the way.
I nearly broke the Carolina Ale House.
That made me so mad when he did that, but whatever. I guess I would do the same thing if I was a football player.
Y'all know how I feel about the whole kneeling situation, so I would love to have Kaepernick in Carolina. My only question is, like, and I support the whole thing with him and Eric Reed. I just want to know when's the last time he's played football. Now, I do know he's keeping himself in shape. He's in great shape.
He was at that high school thing.
Right, but that's high school.
Oh, that doesn't count?
So, I mean, like, I don't have a problem with them bringing him on. If they were to bring him on, I honestly think it's a long shot. But let's just be honest, man. When's the last time he was in an NFL offense? Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm sure it wouldn't take him long, but, I mean, that's far more rust than Eric Reed had his first few weeks. You know what I mean? Like, this is.
Well, who's better, Colin Kaepernick right now or, like, RG3, who's just, like, hanging out on the Ravens?
Nah, I would still take Kaepernick.
Yeah, me too. So, yeah. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Tim Tebow won a playoff game looking horrible. So, I mean, I'm quite sure Kaepernick could win something.
Well, hopefully, hopefully we don't have to bring Tebow back here. So we'll see.
And hopefully Kaepernick gets a job this year. If he doesn't get it this year, then that's probably it for him.
Right, might be right. I'm looking here. Des Bryant too. We talked about that last week too. I think we might have seen the last of Des Bryant. That just came through my Twitter feed. For
really?
Some weird reason. I think so. I don't know. Maybe not. I would take Des. I would always take Des Bryant.
I think Des could help a couple of teams in the league, man. I don't understand why he doesn't have a job.
Last year he doesn't have a job because he didn't have a ACL.
I was going to say.
I understand that, but there are a lot of players who weren't even half as good as him. That have gotten jobs after ACL injuries. Yeah. So I don't know if it's a situation of what some players will say being blackballed out of the league or what. I know the Saints stated even after the injury that they were going to bring him back. And they don't seem to be interested any longer. So
TikTok.
Yeah, it's just amazing how time changes. But I don't see any reason why he doesn't have a job. Maybe, hopefully not. But maybe somebody goes down the first half of the season and somebody gives him a call. But if he doesn't play this season, might be it.
He might be asking for too much money, but he wasn't on a big deal with New Orleans either. So
no, he wasn't.
That doesn't seem likely. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll see. A lot of time, I'm sure those guys will be the late camp additions. I don't see Dez signing anywhere before like late July. So
yeah, definitely after June 1st cuts.
Yeah. Anyway, we are wrapping up here in the hour. We got a few more of these before we head down to Nashville. So we're going to test this out. Hopefully this all withstood the test of time. This is our first real run through of this new board. I know you guys can't see it, but we get a new board that we bring with us on the road. If you joined us last year, we go to all the away games. We do the podcasts from those cities. Always looking to get more mobile gear, so we have one. But it's always fun, or not fun, but tough to throw 4 years of audio tweaking out the window to start new. So we're learning this thing. So hopefully you guys can hear us okay. While I was away, one thing happened. I'm surprised it wasn't something bigger, but Cameron Artis-Payne was brought back to the Panthers. Does that surprise any of you? It's just kind of like, okay. It's like that GIF that you always send, Bobby. That's like the guy going like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, is he gonna actually?
That's a good one.
Like, I don't not like him. He's actually great in Madden. So, and I was actually looking at Kyle Allen in Madden, rated a 60 overall. We need a little better than that from the EA guys, but Cap just has this high hope, has had this high hope ceiling for like ever, and has never even touched it.
He's never had an opportunity.
I was just gonna say it's mostly because he doesn't touch the ball, but I don't know if I don't think he's the guy. While I was on the plane there, I brought up Chris Ivory, who was just released by the Bills.
What will make you think he's not the guy, Dan?
Cap? The fact that he hasn't been the guy since my 10th birthday when they first signed him. I like Cap, but they just don't put him in.
Well, that's not his fault. Okay, let's just be honest. You want Chris Ivory after you. It doesn't matter who you get behind Christian McCaffrey.
It really doesn't. But
you just had C.J. Anderson.
I was gonna say I know a guy out there that we should sign, C.J. Anderson. But no,
he's just Detroit.
So no, I know, I'm just kidding. So C.J. Maybe I don't know. Is C.J. not a good enough receiving back though? Is that why?
He was catching just fine out of the backfield in Denver.
Was he?
He calls us and he calls Cam an interception.
Yeah. I saw a ball go off his face. I mean, Cam did rifle that at him.
I mean,
I'll give you that one.
We've had a lot of players cost Cam. Here's the thing, man. Like, I genuinely don't know. I understand the importance of having somebody behind Christian McCaffrey, but it's almost similar to the Cam Newton situation.
Yeah.
Like if CMC goes down, there's somebody who could probably be sufficient, but there's not going to be anybody who's going to produce the way he produces and bring to the offense what he brings. Chris Ivory, I like it. TJ Yeldon, I like him too. Guys like that I would love to see in a Panthers uniform. But, I mean, what are they going to bring to the team that Cap can't bring? Like, let's just be honest. Like,
yeah.
He's already here.
Well,
low pay.
And people bring up Ivory's last 2 years and how bad his stats were, but those 2 years he played behind Leonard Fournette and McCoy. It's like, right. Yeah, of course you're not going to have great stats. I just look at, I don't know, maybe you do look to the drafts for something like that. I'm just wondering how the hell, like that role is just so, I guess Cap the new Burson of the Panthers, like you just keep bringing him back and just like.
Well, it's interesting
for no reason.
I don't know. Attack the draft for this position. Like, where are you gonna draft? That's really. I mean, you got Cap in the 5th round, I believe it was. Where are you really gonna get a guy that's, just as good that doesn't have the NFL experience that Cap has? I mean, not that Cap's like is great running back, but he's definitely shown flashes. Right. So I don't know that like. I don't know. That's a whole weird dilemma there. Yeah. I know the talk is that Cap isn't going to be this guy, but you bring him back. Wasn't it a 1-year deal or 2-year deal?
I think it was one.
Yeah. So I don't know that this isn't going to be like maybe a year. Yeah, they draft another running back late and give Cap the opportunity. I also like Alfred Morris is out there, but it's like Bobby was saying earlier. I mean, you got T.J. Yeldon's out there too. Is Alfred Morris really going to be a guy that comes in? He's just going to be another Cap or C.J. Anderson type guy. I don't know. I don't see why spend the money on another guy coming in here if he's going to be about the same level as a Cameron Artis-Payne. I don't know.
And coming in on Twitter, we do have Bonifon still. Elijah Hood was also picked up. Fozzie Whitaker, I'm assuming, is gone at this point.
He's a free agent.
Which is surprising because, not surprising, but like, at least with Fozzie, you have a special teams guy.
You know what's even more surprising?
Like with Cap, you just have a guy you don't play.
I'm serious. You know what's even more surprising, Dan?
What?
It's the fact that we can't be satisfied with a great running back. Like, we always have to talk about, we've been talking about his replacement for 2 years.
Well, it's not even, it's more so like.
Excuse me, not replacement, but backup.
It's more so you just have this like group of players that don't play football, like under him. I think that's the problem. It's not so much like, it's not so much, he's a better backup in case this happens or what have. It's like.
Do you think the Cowboys have this discussion, Cowboy fans?
No, I think they only have Zeke, and that's it. They don't have any other players.
They only have CMC, really.
The majority of the league only has their running back. Like, there's a handful of teams who have an actual two-headed running back set that they could, say they rely on. I would say about 60% of the league. I could be wrong. You guys can correct me. I'm all for being corrected. If I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. But I'd say the bulk of the league, they have one good running back that they depend on. And I don't know why we have to continue to make it seem like CMC's in his, 6th or 7th year.
Thank you.
And he needs to split carries with some guy. He's CMC.
No, and that's different than what I'm saying, though.
No,
my difference is like, then why are we even bringing Cap back?
You gotta have somebody.
Depth chart, dude.
If it doesn't matter, then why don't you just load up with Hood and Bonifon and
and
draft the guy in the 7th round, Tyler Gaffney. Boom, there's your depth chart, and you just saved $1 trillion.
You gotta be realistic though, Dan.
So I think you'd agree that Cap is better than those guys.
I do, but he's also a lot more money. I think. I mean, not a lot, but
he couldn't have cost that much money.
I mean, you got to be realistic at some point too. Like, Cap is somebody who's familiar with the offense, familiar with he's earned the respect and the trust from the coaches and the players. That's somebody that you not only want on the field if something were to happen, but also in the locker room. Those guys are familiar with them, so it's more than just on the field. You know what I mean?
And I like Cap. If he's listening to this, I'm a huge fan of Cameron Artis-Payne.
No, he's not. Don't believe that, Cap.
My point is they just keep signing him to not play him, and it's almost like insulting.
Well, Dan, how many players in this league are signed and they're sitting right on the sideline in a hoodie?
I don't know.
A lot.
I'd like to think that if Cap had hit free agency, he probably would have found somewhere else to sign at least a 1-year deal in the same type of role. So the fact that he's back, maybe potentially, I don't know. It could be just that he knows this system and he feels more comfortable trying to prove himself in this system with these coaches and players. But I feel like he could have a bigger role this year than a lot of people are building up. Like, I know a lot of talk is about getting a running back in the draft. We have to find a running back behind CMC. And I'm over here like, running back is really low on my list of things that Panthers need to work about. Yeah. And I know a lot of people are talking about like it's top 4, and it ain't top 5 to me. Yeah, like I'm not worried about like running back at this point. Yes, do I want to see CMC every play out there running around or getting fed the ball? No, but he didn't get fed the ball or touch the ball every single one of those snaps last year either. Like, I'm fine with these group of guys we have right now. If we get one in the 5th round again, fine. We'll see what happens. But this like 3rd round, like getting a good running back to go behind CMC is just crazy talk to me.
Well, I can tell you where that comes from, Tripp.
Colin Coward.
Nope. You had Stephen Davis and you had Deshaun Foster. And then you had
Williams and Jonathan Stewart.
Bingo, there you go. Yep. So it's burnt into Panthers fans' brains, and they don't even realize why they're saying it. They're saying it because they're used to seeing it in Panther Nation. So that's why they're saying it so much, because they've been conditioned for what's that, 20 years now, almost to seeing that, close to 20 years. So we've essentially in our good years always had they were called Double Trouble, and I don't think Stephen Davis and Foster had a nickname, but those guys, we were used to that two-headed running back thing. So being that we don't have that now, everybody's like, oh my gosh, what if? What if can go a lot of ways, man. So let's just accept the fact that we have a star at running back and treat him like a star at running back and play him. And that's what he is. He's a stud. He's a star, probably a future Hall of Famer, and we just need to accept it and let him play. We took him in that top pick for a reason. That early pick we had that year, we took him for a reason where we got him for this reason. So let's just leave it here.
If we're a 5th, we'd all be drunk.
Bingo.
Man, anyway, yeah, that really went on a tangent there. I didn't mean to rattle the running back cage, but
No, you're fine. You're fine because everybody's talking about it still. So I think it's a good topic.
Now, getting some comments on Twitter here. Yeah, third day of the draft is loaded with running back talent. So historically, the Panthers have been a team that when they draft a running back late, have any of them actually developed? I guess that's what worries me. It's either like you make the big splash at a big guy, or you get a guy like a Tyler Gaffney, a Cap, a Fozzie, and they just like kind of go through the motions.
I don't know,
but maybe this is the year. I don't know. We'll see. I'll take a running back late in this draft. I'll gladly take a running back over a quarterback in this draft. Would you agree with that?
Interesting.
Really?
Even if it's the third round, screw it.
I don't know about that.
Well, that's when everyone's talking about getting Will Grier, right?
Will Grier is probably a more realistic approach than a running back in the third.
Okay. My point is, if they draft a guy, a no-name guy, he stays a no-name guy. I don't mean no-name, but, someone that's that far down, is he automatically third on the depth chart? They'll keep Cap at number 2, but they'll never put him up there. It's just always a really weird way that this running back depth chart plays out. Most of them are special teamers.
I mean, you know how Ron likes it, man.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. But hey, the interesting thing here, and I think that's what Anna's touching upon here, in the comment, it'd be nice to have a serviceable backup, but DJ and Curtis were some of the best running backs last year. That's actually a great point. Is maybe you don't need a running back in Carolina because two of them are. I mean, Curtis has played. Didn't Curtis play back there in Ohio State? Some
yes,
snaps?
he was running back and wide receiver.
Yeah, and Tim and DJ on those. Granted, it's a little more of a sweep move, and you're not really lining up back there. I mean, you got a guy named Cam Newton too who can run the ball. So maybe with this specific team, there's really only room for one running back. That's actually a point I didn't even really think of when I was talking out loud.
I mean, you got to think about this offense, man. This offense is more of a creative offense now. You don't have to have the tradition that you've seen before of an offense. Like, this is a speedy offense now. So we just need to get used to what we got. We have playmakers. And again, this is a positionless team, man. We got playmakers. So we just need to accept it.
Bobby,
literally, we have wide receivers who can play running back and a running back that can play wide receiver. So,
we do, yeah, you're actually right.
So.
And we have a quarterback who's our best running back. So, yeah, that's true. We do things a little differently here in Carolina. I just realized my sunburnt face and how it looks on the camera. That's fun. Anyway, hey, I have no idea what's going on at the Hurricanes game.
They clinched the playoffs.
There you go. Hopefully, hey, look at this. We can throw the horn in there. You like that? I can finally do that.
Hey.
I haven't done that in a while, or actually, I've never done that in my life. That one goes out to Chris. He usually does his getting in the sin bin with Chris segment, which we'll throw the graphic up there. We'll pretend we did it. There you go. The Hurricanes are in the playoffs. Cool. They'll probably lose to the Bruins. Anyway,
oh no,
I can't jump on the Hurricanes hockey bandwagon. Not bandwagon, but hockey thing too, just because I like the Panthers. Come on,
bro.
So why don't you just go be a Patriots fan?
You get one team from me, and it's football. God. So anyway, we're just about out of time. Tripp, I'm pumped to be able to do this down at the draft, and Bobby's gonna be joining us too. Whether it's in person or on the phone, we'll have you with us there too, and we'll be
let's go.
We'll be doing this in Nashville for 2 days, and we'll be anyone that's going down there again. Please reach out to us on Twitter. We'd love to have you on. Love to hang out with you. Have a couple bushwhackers, have a couple beers, maybe a couple waters, and then some more beers. And
I'm ready to take Monday off.
Yeah, and then we'll march in there and see what happens with this 16th pick right now as it stands. Who knows? I've seen crazier things happen. I know Bobby wants Brian Burns. I also kind of want Brian Burns. I know he's kind of undersized. I had that conversation on Twitter. But I'm not too concerned with it. I mean, you look at the Panthers' D-line right now, really can only go up. I do like Brian Burns. Obviously, Sweat and Farrell, people have their opinions on. I think it's going to be one of those guys, personally. I just do. Yeah, I know there's a lot of, Dillard talks coming in.
Told us that, somebody was undersized.
Who's that? Who are you talking about? I didn't hear that whole thing.
I'm sorry. I said I remember last time we were told by Twitter that somebody was undersized. It seemed like that worked out pretty well.
I'm not getting the joke.
CMC.
No, it's not a joke. It's real. Oh. They kept saying that CMC was too small.
Oh, I was thinking defensively. I thought you were talking about Von Miller. I was like, that was my joke. Anyway, totally was on the defensive side of the ball. But yeah, offensive line in play, obviously there as well. Just my gut feeling, I don't know, just tells me it's going to be a defensive pick. I don't know. But I'm happy either way. I think Tripp said you can't go wrong in that first pick. People argue that you can. Hopefully we're not eating those words.
You can go wrong, but it would be very hard to go wrong.
I mean, which team didn't get the pick in? Wasn't that the Vikings? What? Didn't a team not get their pick in?
I can't remember.
Whatever. I guess
an indecisive bunch of.
You could really go wrong there, but yeah, no. Hopefully it's something we're all happy about. I know that's hard for Panther
Panther
fans
what happens
sometimes.
when you don't get your pick in?
They skip you, and then you pick whenever you can get it back in.
Oh shit! So that's basically that would be like hopefully whoever designed the Panthers hat isn't making the pick. Right?
The Panthers hat is the equivalent of not submitting your pick at the NFL draft. Yes,
exactly.
It's like copying and pasting.
That is a perfect scenario, or I guess comparison, I should say, Tripp. Anyway, guys, thanks for hopping on. Bobby's at Tacos and Slurpees. Tripp's over at Panthers Source on Facebook, Twitter, and I'm at PounDENN, of course. Back from vacation, learning these new tools. Thanks for hopping on with us tonight. That was fun. We're going to do this next week. And we'll be doing this again down in Nashville, so join us then. And this video will actually be up on YouTube tomorrow. Go tell your friends, and also on Facebook. We just do it on Twitter so that we can pull in your comments. We can only do that with one network at a time. But hey, We'll talk to you guys next week. Again, shout out to Ortho Carolina for making this all happen, and the Riot Report and the Riot Network. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Keep pounding.
Rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle.
I like it.